Hey friends, if you have scoliosis, you may have experienced the sensation of having a knot kind of right in between your shoulder blades or at the edge of the scapula on your back. And it might just feel like this knot is stubborn, it doesn't go away, it's uncomfortable, and I'm here to show you an exercise to help with that today. First, I'll say that sensation of having a knot between your shoulder blades is pretty common, especially for individuals who have primary thoracic curves. The knot or kind of sensation of tightness tends to be on the side of the convexity of the curve. And if you think about what's happening there, really we've got the curve here and the muscles on that convexity are actually more overstretched and over lengthened. It creates this sensation of tautness more so than tightness, but our body can perceive that similarly. So it can feel like there's a knot. It can feel like that side just really needs to be stretched. But actually what we need to do is allow that muscle to work more in its mid-range. We're gonna put it in that better position by doing your 3D postural correction, by getting yourself into the best position you can from all three planes of movement, and then strengthening that muscle in that new range. So before you can even do this exercise, you really have to understand your curve pattern. You have to be able to get into that best balanced position. If you don't do that first, you're not going to see the benefit. It just won't be nearly as helpful. So always thinking about lining up ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles, thinking about bringing your pelvis underneath your trunk so nose and belly button line up, not letting your hips be to the left or to the right, but just nice and lined up underneath your trunk. And then using that concept of expansion breathing or Schroth breathing to control the rotational plane as well. So in my example here, if that convexity is to the right in the thoracic spine and that feeling of the knot is kind of at that right shoulder blade, that typically means that we have rotation back on the right rib cage as well, or a prominence on the right. So that right rib cage needs to come forward while the left rib cage needs to come out and back. And so what we're trying to do with our breath is to move the prominence on the right forward as you move the concavity on the left out and back. I always think of a soda can and kind of picture trying to create expansion to create this beautiful symmetrical cylinder in 360 degrees. If you need help with those steps and you need to figure that out for yourself, definitely feel free to send me a message, reach out, check out some of the other videos. It really is a critical step to being able to get the most out of the movement and the exercise that I'm going to show you next. So assuming you've done all that and you can do your 3D postural correction and you can get into the best correction that you can right now, you're going to take that tension off that overstretched muscle and the convexity of the curve and allow it to strengthen in a more mid-range position. And so the movement here, I call it a wall slide. You're going to take a mini band or even put your arms inside a pillowcase and you're going to keep some pressure or tension on that band. And I've got this chart here on the wall with lines on it, but you could use a door or wall, anything like that too. And you're picturing your arms are like railroad tracks, so they're parallel to each other. You're going to start with your hands about shoulder height. Make sure you do that best 3D postural correction, maybe even take a few expansion breaths before you begin. Think about being long through the back of your neck. And then you're keeping tension into the band, so stay with your forearms parallel to each other. You're sliding your arms up the wall. Keep your elbows in contact in the wall. Only go as high up as you can without feeling like your arms are starting to come together at the top or your elbows are lifting up. And then come back down. This can actually be a pretty fatiguing exercise. So you can start with a fairly small range, work on control, work on breath, work on maintaining that optimal 3D postural correction. And it gets tiring fairly quickly. So it might only take 6, 8 repetitions before you feel like your arms are tired. You can go ahead and take a break there. Try doing this maybe 3 times a week, short little sets, but always begin with your best 3D postural correction. And only go up so high as you can control that movement. If you start feeling like you're really shrugging the muscles in your neck or getting that upper trap active, just stay in a little bit smaller range. Back off on how much tension you have on the band. And what you should find is that it's going to release and allow that muscle that is overstretched and taut to relax a little bit and feel better. Please let me know what questions you have if you find this helpful, and hopefully your back will thank you for doing this. Thanks for watching.